I'd like to call the meeting to order. Hello. Hey, you rowdies in the back row. Let's go. All right. Thank you. Talking to you, Scott. Sorry. Okay, so I'll be calling me to order 6 o'clock. I'd like to start, as always, by recognizing that we are doing our business and enjoying the unceded territories of the Sooke. So moving on to approval of the agenda. Anyone? So moved. So moved. Seconded. Moved by Bateman, seconded by Beddoes. Any opposed? Seeing none, the motion carries. Thank you. Adoption of the minutes. Okay. Bateman and Beddoes. Any opposed? Any modifications, changes? I think I saw some already made. Yes? Okay. Any opposed? Seeing none, the motion carries. Report of the Chief Administrative Officer.
Thank you, Chair. I just had one thing to add that didn't make the publication. And just to give a heads up to the community, in case you see our lovely bylaw officer out there, Medea Mills, she's given her notice of retirement. So May 1st will be her last day with the District of Sooke. And she has an almost 20-year employee. Wow. I think her name is well known out and about in the community. So wanted to give anyone listening and community members a heads up if you see her out and about over the next couple months to give her a wave and maybe thank her for her service. And more to come later on one of my future CAO reports. I'll give a bit more of a breakdown on all of her accomplishments over the 20 years here almost.
Perfect. So a shout out for Medea. And if anybody sees you in the community, say hi and goodbye. Well, not goodbye, but yeah. Okay. And at this point, we'll move into our public question and comment period. I believe we have 20 minutes, this maximum. 2 minutes per will be on the clock. You don't have to give any more information than your name and roundabout where you're from. And please do benefit us with your comments. So if you step up on your right-hand side, just press until the this lights up red, okay? Yes, please. Oh, I should have mentioned that. That's very good. You must be speaking to an agenda item. If you're not, I'll just say, please speak to an agenda item or, cut you off rudely with something. Please don't do that.
Good evening, Acting Mayor and Council. My name is Donna Petrie. I'm a resident of Sooke. And this evening I'm speaking to agenda item. Sorry, I don't have it in front of me, but it was one of the items pulled from correspondence with respect to green space, specifically 1990 Caldwell Road. So thank you for the chance to speak this evening. I'm here because Sooke is at a crossroads. We talk often about growth, about density, about the future we're building. But tonight I want to talk about something that is just as important, what we choose to protect. The property at 1990 Caldwell Road is almost 4 acres of flat, walkable, living green space right in the heart of a neighborhood that is already dense and is about to come denser. It's a place where people already walk, already gather. It connects naturally into existing trails. It holds mature trees that have been standing longer than most of us have lived, trees that shelter owls and countless other species. And unlike almost every other undeveloped parcel in Sooke's core, this land is actually affordable. That combination of size, location, accessibility, ecological value, and price does not come around twice. We all know that newer neighborhoods in Sooke were built with parks and green corridors woven into their design, but the older parts of Sooke were built before these standards existed. The result is an imbalance that everyone can see. Some neighborhoods have parks within a few minutes walk, while others have almost none. This is our chance to correct that. This is our chance to say that people living in higher density housing deserve the same access to nature as those in newer subdivisions. This is our chance to say that green space is not a luxury, it's part of what makes community livable. If we let this land slip away, it will be gone forever. But if we act now, we can create a legacy that will outlast every one of us, a legacy of balance and a legacy of equity. I respectfully ask Council to explore this opportunity with urgency and vision. Moments like this don't come along often, and let's not miss it. Thank you.
Very good. Pretty darn good timing too. Well done. Please. So if you could press a button on the right. No, right, go. That's it.
Perfect. Thank you. Good evening, Acting Mayor and Council. My name is Peter Obersall, board member of the Sooke Bike Club, and I'm joined here with our president, Scott Phillip, behind me. We're here regarding our letter in tonight's correspondence package. It's the letter of support from the Sooke Bike Club. We respectfully request the council to pull this item. It's P 2026-0302 from the consent agenda, so it may be scheduled for formal discussion and action at a future meeting. Our club has identified approximately 350 hectares of crown land west of the Sooke River. This area represents a rare opportunity for Sooke, as the topography is perfectly suited for a mountain biking and hiking trail network. We are asking the district to sponsor a community and institutional land use application to the province to secure tenure for this land. Beyond the wonderful recreational benefits for our local families, this project is a proven economic driver. We have seen mountain biking networks transform BC economies by driving sustainable tourism, most notably in Cumberland, Nanaimo here on the island, Powell River on the Sunshine Coast, and Squamish, Worcester, and Pemberton on the mainland. In communities like Squamish, visitor spending alone from mountain biking has soared to over 26 million annually, supporting hundreds of local jobs. The Sooke Bike Club is prepared to do the heavy lifting. We will develop the full application package, including management plans and environmental assessments, under the guidance of district staff. Our 6-year track record with the CRD and the C2C Regional Park proves we have the capability to steward these lands responsibly. We ask that when you pull this item, you direct staff to bring back a report so we can move forward with the next steps for this partnership. We thank you for the consideration and look forward to returning to speak to this opportunity further. Thank you.
Wow, we got some pros at the mic today. That's 2 minutes exactly. Well done. Thank you. Yes.
Veronica Pemberton Billing. I live in Sooke. Good to be with you again, Deputy Mayor and Council. I would like to speak to, I've lost what it is,
Oops.
but it's the Development Corporation. That
Yep.
presentation.
Delegation.
on.
Thank
Sorry,
you.
I put that.
It's the
to-
delegation. Thank you.
And I would like to propose that council do not accept this, do not finance it, that it is $10,000 that is only the beginning. I think we're not in a place to do that. On behalf of every taxpayer I know, they're struggling to keep their homes. We've had a 37% increase in taxes in 3 years with cumulative. I understand it's going to be between 12 and 18% this year. That's over 50% in the life of this council. And I just think it's untenable. Vancouver has, in fact, passed a budget this year with 0 increase in property taxes and a huge increase in police services by cutting other areas. I think council needs to develop the muscle of just say no, because we cannot go on like this. And then specifically with respect to this proposal, this is another government spending thing. 10,000 is just the beginning. Most of the financing structure comes from various levels of government, and this is not working for the taxpayer. And I also think, despite how well-intentioned I do believe it is, I think it will fail in one of its principal objectives, which is to support the entrepreneurial spirit, because government agencies know nothing about entrepreneurship. It's like the difference between a knitting club and a skydiving club. And I criticize neither of those because I love them both. But I have 450 skydives, and there's only so much you can learn by being on the ground. Governments do not understand the risks that entrepreneurs take on. Any government agency cannot support it effectively.
Nice timing. Wow. Okay. Okay. Who's up and who can match that? You got some pros, I understand, you know. Okay, calling for once. There we go.
Well, I hate to always seem to be contradicting people, but anyway, here I go.
Could you introduce yourself? And
My name is Susan Belford and I live in Sooke.
Thank you.
And I'd like to state my support for several items on this evening's agenda. First, I'm really looking forward to the presentation regarding a Community Economic Development Commission. I know that these kinds of bodies have been incredibly useful for various coastal communities in our province, and I think it's definitely worth exploring. Excuse me. Second, item 8.4, I just want to note that I support the staff report regarding the OCP DPAs and its implementation. On rereading the DPAs for yet another time, I was struck by how very well they seek to protect Sooke's priceless assets, our citizens, lands, forests, and waterways. I also agree with the letter writers and speaker asking Sooke to acquire more parkland for urban parks, as well as to assist with land acquisition and for larger parcels. But in terms of the spot that the former speaker was talking about, that's a perfectly situated natural area. It's not that expensive. It would really be a service to the community. And finally, item 12.1 shows how fortunate Sooke is that a local recycler wants to expand services. I recommend that the districts follow up and include Zero Waste Sooke in their discussions. Thank you very much.
thank you very much. Okay, time to spare too. Someone else. Second speaker. Oh, sorry, second time speaker.
Thank you.
Just read.
Veronica Pemberton, Sooke. Again, I don't have the exact item on the agenda, but it is part of the correspondence, and it's a letter I wrote requesting a legal opinion. I've written the letter and 2 follow-ups and have not had a response. And the legal opinion is on the OCP and the misinformation that the council is promulgating by saying that Sooke is on unceded territory, which it's not. And I pointed out that to say that it's unceded, that to say that staff report said it was a matter of terminology is so incorrect. It's like black and white being a matter of terminology. Unceded and ceded are polar opposites. So it's not a matter of terminology. And to say that it's consistent with practice in the rest of BC is misleading because we're different from the rest of BC. 90% of BC is on unceded territory. Sooke is not on unceded territory. So I'm very concerned that council itself, despite the best of intentions, is a promulgator of misinformation, factually accurate misinformation, by continuing to say in the acknowledgements that it's unceded and this persisting in the OCP. So I requested in my letter that Sooke obtain a legal opinion because staff gave legal advice and I don't think they're competent, and I don't mean that as an insult. I just mean I don't think they're trained in that area of law, which is very complex, and we're having issues across the country with it, with the recent federal decision on Vancouver. Sooke is a special case. People are concerned. Constitutional lawyers are all over speaking about how property rights are at risk. People are not investing in BC. Sooke is a special case, and I think we need to, and Lower Vancouver Island, I think we need to stand on that. And to not stand on that, I think, is a betrayal of council's duty to the property owners in Sooke. So I'd like an answer to my letter, and I'd like the acknowledgement to be reconsidered so that we're not continuing to promulgate misinformation as regards the legal status in Sooke.
Thank you. Any other speakers? Okay, going once, twice, last chance. Okay, so I'm going to close the public question and comment period at this point in time, and we're going to move on to delegations. And I believe we have a delegation for a case for Community Economic Development Corporation. Or do we? Scott?
Yes. Yes, Chair, she's supposed to be on the Zoom call. Ms. Strongland, Ms. Owen, is she available?
Oh, there we go. Okay.
Fantastic.
We're doing this high tech. Well done. All right.
Ready? Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Okay, I'll get started. Good evening. My name is Catherine Strongwind. I'm a resident of Sooke. I'm currently appearing from the unceded territory of the Comox Nation this evening. With me are former members of the Economic Development Committee, Gwen Fisher and Scott Taylor. And I'd like to start by requesting an additional 5 minutes for this evening's presentation to allow time for any questions.
Okay, so 5 minutes. Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Please go for it.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to try to share my screen for the presentation. Oh, somebody else is sharing right now. Okay, does this work? Thank you.
Okay.
And I think this, I can't quite see. There we go. Okay. So some of you have heard this already, but this was our presentation for Visioning an Economic Development Corporation in Sooke and next steps. We presented some of this at the Economic Development Committee not too long ago. Now this is the presentation for all of Council. So how we got here is December 9th, there was the establishment of the Standing Committee. January 14th, adopted the terms of reference. And then we met many times over the first year. And we held the open house on January 20th to network and collect feedback from local businesses and First Nations, elected officials, nonprofit organizations. And on February 2nd, we shared what we heard report and presentation, as I mentioned, to the Economic Development Committee with the recommendation to endorse the creation of a community-led economic development corporation. What we did here, this is a bit of a review for everybody, is that business stakeholders want a community economic development corporation that is strategic, advocacy focused, and capable of supporting both nonprofits and entrepreneurs while addressing commercial space challenges and grant access. And so those were the top 5 priorities that we heard from business owners and nonprofits. Why now? Sooke is experiencing rapid population growth, rising housing pressures, and increased demand for local services. The community needs a dedicated non-political body to coordinate economic development, investment attraction, and for business support. And a CEDC provides continuity across election cycles. So when there's a change in mayor and council, that continuity continues, ensuring the long-term implementation of the CEDS, the strategy, and the OCP. And the community-led model reflects Sooke's values of collaboration, local leadership, and shared prosperity. So this is just a quick overview of what a corporation does. And it's not limited to this, but this is typically what community-led corp does, is business retention and expansion, working on Indigenous partnership and economic reconciliation, sustainable and green economy development, workforce development and talent attraction, tourism diversification and placemaking, and investment attraction and commercial space development. Why this model for Sooke? It implements the key actions, as I mentioned, from the strategy of 2021 and the OCP that was passed last year. It would strengthen partnerships with Sooke Nation and other regional agencies, provide some leadership, as I mentioned, the non-political long-term leadership for economic development, Positions for sustainable growth in terms of climate-aligned economic growth, and supports local job creation and reduced commuter dependency. Benefits to the District of Sooke of a CEDC are, as I mentioned, climate-aligned economic growth, job creation, economic diversification, stronger relationships, improved business services, and enhanced regional competitiveness through a dedicated development body. So some of the priority areas supported by a CEDC, we talked about this already, so I won't go over it again, but that again is typically what a CEDC does and works on. And the direction supported by a CEDC, a local resilient economy, village center revitalization, climate action and green infrastructure again, community well-being and equity, and sustainable transportation and local jobs. These are some examples. It's not limited to this list, but these are some examples that are on the island already. Again, we talked about this at the presentation to the ECDEV committee, but Community Futures Cowichan and Central Island, Songhees Development Corporation, Campbell River Economic Development, Coast Economic Development Society or Coast Funds, sorry, I can't read that, VIEA, and there's many others. Actually, Cumberland is another one that has a community-led economic development corporation. I'm just going to move this up a little bit. Oh, why council support funding matters. This is a municipal investment. We do have an economic development officer, Gail Scott, who does amazing work in the community. However, it would allow for a diversification of that economic development strategy. It enables staffing and program delivery, as well as additional community engagement. It builds a resilient, diversified local economy, as I mentioned, and advances the OCP goals for climate action, equity, and sustainable growth, and ensures community-driven leadership and long-term continuity, as I mentioned earlier. Just want to move. Oh, there we go. Estimated startup costs for a community-led economic development corporation is actually quite low at $10,000. This is what we estimated the incorporation and legal setup costs to be. Community engagement, we could do another session, an open house, to gather a bit more feedback from folks. Governance development, and I'm happy that the District of Sooke has agreed in principle to share their original documents from the Development Corporation to be adapted for this potential organization, so that we're not starting from scratch. And then strategic and operational planning, and then there's a little bit of administration and reporting. And just looking future forward, MRDT is often used for CEDCs and to support some of the activities of an economic development corporation, specifically designated for the visitor economy, tourism, marketing, development, etc., etc. Year-round alignment, even though the MRDT is mostly focused on seasonal revenue, it can support a year-round budget. And then many BC communities use that to fund economic development corporations, tourism organizations, and destination management initiatives. And this is part of the reason why they do that. It's stable, predictable funding, new products and cultural partnerships, development, tourism and village activation, and attracts year-round activity, as I mentioned, and investments into the local economy. This model is a strategic fit for Sooke. As I mentioned, it aligns with the CED strategy and OCP. It's community focused in terms of the MRDT investment, and it leverages the MRDT investment to secure additional funding from provincial and federal grants. Just a couple of key points. The Sooke Chamber of Commerce has agreed to be the financial conduit should council approve our request for $10,000. And you may have seen a couple of letters of support from both the Sooke Region Tourism Association, the Sooke Chamber of Commerce, and from marketer Sherry Robb as part of your package. Yes, so today we are requesting that seed money of $10,000 to launch a CEDC as a nonprofit organization under the Societies Act of BC. And then from there, we can request use of existing resources, as I mentioned, the foundational documents, code of conduct, terms of reference, etc., to help establish this organization. And then we do invite at least one representative from council to serve as a liaison and advisor on the board of directors for a period of at least 1 year. And that's it. Any questions? Do my colleagues wish to share anything?
Mr. Scott? Or Mr. Taylor, sorry.
Hi, Scott Taylor. Catherine, thank you. Great presentation. Yeah, I just wanted to mention I've been a business owner here for over 25 years. I've got 3 businesses in Sooke here, and I'm excited for the fact that we have an opportunity to create a collective. And when we're talking about bureaucracy, I think it's an opportunity for us to kind of step that aside and really get to work at some of the challenges that Sooke has and some of the things that have now been identified through some of the identifications that Catherine's been talking about there. And I just wanted to mention I have support for that. And as far as like the entrepreneurial thing that's been sort of talked about today, it's actually going to be run by entrepreneurs wanting to support entrepreneurs. So through my college, for instance, we can use our space as a free space to bring in young entrepreneurs. When I say young entrepreneurs, you could be 80. You could be 2 years old. If you have an idea and you want to learn about entrepreneurialism, then we'll have an avenue for you to take that path and hopefully create a smaller path than you think it might be. And so I think it's an opportunity for business owners to get a little bit more involved and to step aside that bureaucracy side that might make them not come to community memberships like that. So I think moving forward with an economic development corporation like this, I just think it gives an opportunity for us to umbrella everything that we're planning to do. And, you know, every 4 years we're changing council, and this would give us an opportunity to look at 5-year plans, 10-year plans that really can help shape and develop communities. And taking a look at Tofino and Ucluelet and now Cumberland, and just watching them over the years as I've been in the tourism field for, you know, over 25 years now. And I just think there's lots to learn from their economic development corporations that they've created. And yeah, I just think it's a great thing for Sooke. So I totally support what we're looking forward to do here. And again, thank you, Catherine and Deb, for that wonderful presentation on some of the ideas that we're trying to move forward with that. So thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Fisher, do you have any comments?
Yes, I do. Can you hear me?
Speak up just a little bit.
Pardon me?
You need to speak up just a little bit. You're hard to hear.
Okay, my microphone hasn't been working all that great today, for this is my second Zoom. I think the benefit, there's a lot of benefits to this, and there's definitely a lot to learn, but a lot of our organizations are not-for-profit as well. My vision for this as well is that we have an office that can help with grant writing and take a lot of pressure off district staff and help them to grow, so that it also brings tourism into our community, which is really what we have for industry here, is tourism, and also to encourage new businesses. I think this would take the pressure off of district funding once we get on our feet. That's how I see this working, because we have the people to work it and to search out business and get things done. So I'm in support of this. And I think Catherine's a great leader. She has experience. You have a great staff to work with. We have Gail. I think this could be a wonderful thing for Sooke. And it's time to get more jobs here, get more tax base from commercial. It's all around. Once we're really established, I think this is a long-term success.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's from council. Council Meadows.
Yeah, to answer this question, I see that you got the chamber and other businesses that are supporting this. Are they able to kick in any money for this? Or are they just looking at the district to do it? I guess with, $10,000 is $10,000, but they all have budgets and things, and so that's my question. Have they offered to do anything? And I guess where that comes from is a community economic development corp, to me, should be run by the businesses of the community, not the district. We have an economic development. So I guess my question, and that's what I'm here for, I can comment this other stuff later. Has the other chamber offered any money to get this off the ground, or any businesses? Thank you.
We haven't approached any businesses to ask to do any crowdfunding. No. I think what we've heard is that businesses are stretched thin and actually need the support, as opposed to putting more dollars out for Community Economic Development Corporation. The chamber has offered to help in kind. They do have a service agreement with the District of Sooke, and so do have some resources, but Deb is part-time, so her capacity is limited. So that's part of the other challenge, I'd say.
Thank you. Other questions? Councilor Bateman.
Yeah, not so many questions, other than thank you for that presentation again, Catherine, and good to see three members of our short-lived but mighty Community Economic Development Committee, and Councillor Beddoes and St. Pierre were also on that group. Now, arising out of that work in the latter stages back in January, we did have a motion come through. So through you to staff, that motion stated, provide a high-level report on alternative models to maintain coordination communication with the economic development community and ensure continuity from one council term to the next. Can you give me an update on where we stand with that 6 weeks after it was passed?
The plan, I believe, is to present some options back to council, most likely in May. We're right into budget and year-end mode with staff priorities, and other reports are coming in the queue before this presentation. I assume we'll use work from this delegation to inform that report, but it's still under development right now.
Right, so it's in development. So I'll just state that this vision of a community economic development corporation, much like many in BC, often with a direct local government involvement, but as a very much a arm's length organization that has a constitution and all those Society Act necessities. It's in our community economic development strategy, and we've been moving there. So you are accelerating the process, so thank you for that. Because as we're knowing here at tax time, we have to diversify the tax base, right? So you're creating more business development here in Sooke, in fact, is something that really benefits property owners. So I'm curious to see what the staff report, and at that time, we could consider tonight's presentation in accordance with that report. So I would move that we receive it for information, but I think there'll be other comments.
Okay, well, Councillor Haldane. Okay, so we have a motion on the floor to receive this report for information to inform, I believe, a staff report that we're expecting in May. Is that correct? Okay, at which point we could further deliberate on whether or not to move forward with this particular ask, is my sense. Yes? Okay, any further, actually, I'll ask one question myself and then, yep. I'd like to ask staff, as presented, what would be the impact on staff resources?
To the chair, in regards to supporting the ECDEV Corporation establishment, like they're
In the way that it's
proposing?
been laid out tonight,
Unknown at this time.
unknown at this time.
Yeah, sorry, I don't have enough information to answer that at this time.
Okay, so ideally May 1st, we might have some ideas.
Correct.
Councilor Beddoes.
Yeah, this question through you to staff in regards to our economic development officer. I don't interested in her salary. What's the budget for her department, please? I know it's somewhere.
It's coming, sorry.
Well, it's gonna be.
Okay, well, while that's happening, I'm gonna make some last comments and then I think we're gonna basically call the question. Councilor Haldane.
Yeah, well, she's coming up with the totals there. So just so I can get kind of an understanding of it. Businesses pay almost 4 times the tax rate of residential. So every time we increase the cost of the district 6 business and we increase our taxes, we're increasing it 4-fold for businesses. So the less tax increases that the district can give helps out businesses. And in this case, we're just going to keep adding on year after year, more and more debt, more and more expectation from the district to do it. Ms. Strongwind mentioned that the businesses are stretched. I don't doubt that for a second. So the 3 firemen and the 3 police and the more parks people we're going to have to hire to do all this stuff around the district, those are going to be huge tax implications. Those are going to be piled on top of what these people, even if they're renting, they're still paying triple nets. So they still have to pay a huge portion of what it is to the taxes on these properties. So we have to be understanding of everything we keep doing is going to cost these businesses more and more money to the point where they're going to be stretched, where they're not even going to be able to afford to stay in business. So we have to understand we have a budget coming up here, whatever, that we're going to have a tough time bringing in just regular taxpayers under this 12% or try and keep it something reasonable because everybody's stretched. Businesses are stretched, absolutely, because people aren't spending money like they were spending before and people are stretched. It's $300 to put your kid into a bus to go to school and things like that. So we've got to start looking at what the realities are. The realities are people are stretched.
Point of order. I mean, we're not supposed to debating it.
No,
I appreciate what you're saying,
Yeah, yeah.
Councillor Haldane, but I think we can leave this till when we do it in May. I
Yeah.
don't disagree with what you're saying, but I think it's not the time. That's all.
Yeah, no, fair enough. I mean, I'm just pointing out the fact that, I mean, we're looking at
No,
Yeah,
information
point
from
made.
this company. Yeah,
Point made. Thank you.
thank you.
Okay,
I'm allowed, through the chair,
Yes.
I can get that another time. We don't have to get it this instant, as long as I have it for May. Okay, thanks.
Sorry, apologies. I just found it. It's $181,000 was,
Yeah.
181,000.
and that's the wages for the position and then operating budget, including the salary. That's the salary for the position, including, and then operating budget. But we'll confirm for 2026 budget.
Okay, so what I want to encourage people to think about is actually the future and exactly what happens when we continue to rely almost exclusively on residential taxes for the money to operate in town. What that means is that those tax increases and any services that we have to pay for, like, you know, police and firefighters and so on, fall on the residential taxpayers, and they cannot afford another 37, 50%, so on and so forth forever. As it happens, I strongly agree with Councillor Haldane and with members of the public in lots of ways, except that I disagree with the actual approach. I think that we need a hands-off entity that can actually take on risk, move more nimbly, increase our businesses, increase our business taxes, provide services to businesses so they actually get services from their taxes as opposed to what's happening right now. No, sorry, Chair ignores that for the moment. It's not that, by the way, you want to go to the bathroom? No problem.
No. We've got a motion on the floor and we're gonna, the motion is just to go to May. I mean, we're debating the whole thing, and I don't think that's correct. So
Okay,
I
Councilor
will
Barros.
stand. You can overrule me. Go ahead.
Councilor Meadows, as the chair, I will overrule you because that's not actually a point of order. I think what I'm trying to say and what I will finish on is that in order to actually reduce taxes for our taxpayers, we need to have strong engines of economic development. This could be it. I don't know. We don't have enough information. I don't know if this is 10,000 down the tubes. And I hope that a staff report or maybe some information will come forward in May as to the approach and whether or not it's viable. Thank you. Okay, call the question. Any opposed? Seeing none opposed, the motion carries. Moving on. Thank you so much for your time. Okay, so we're moving on to the consent agenda. And I guess we're going to look at the council receiving the report entitled, actually the whole thing, really. Okay, so moving the consent agenda. As a block, anything to be pulled?
Do we not make a motion first, Chair?
I think I just tried to do that.
Well, we need
I'll move, but I'd
Okay.
like to withdraw.
Okay. So we have a
Okay.
motion on the floor to accept as a block. Anything to remove?
Yeah, I'd like to remove correspondence item 27, the Sooke Bike Club,
Okay, thank you.
for the next meeting. And I'm bravely going to remove Ms. Pemberton's letter, because I think we need to get this sorted out and straightened out in a public setting with clean, clear information. So I don't have that number in front of me.
I have it here.
Okay.
Okay. I was gonna remove it. I just wrote it down
Okay.
somewhere. Now I can't find it.
Okay, I think staff will be able to.
Yeah, it's,
Anything else to be removed? Or pulled?
damn it,
Yes,
I wrote it
Councilor
down.
Haldane.
Yes, I'd like to pull the Sooke Builders Association PowerPoint presentation, attachment 08.
Thank you very much.
Well, that's all of 8.4.
Okay, so
I guess it could be, yeah, I mean.
for what purpose, if I may ask?
Well, it's just that whether the implementation of some of the asks are gonna be done, or whether we just take this for information that we never see it again.
Okay, well, as it happens, the only thing we can do at this point is accept this for information.
Okay,
You could have a motion arising that would deal with that question.
that's specific.
Yeah, but that would actually not be pulling this from correspondence. It would be, I think, a more, Mr. Lois, is that correct?
Thank you, Chair. I think on this item, if members were looking to discuss the LUDC item 8.4, the official community plan development permit areas and implementation update, then you could make a motion arising on that. But if you just wanted to consider specific items of correspondence, then it would be slightly yeah, it would be better to pull the item to discuss as motion arising, because if you just pull the correspondence, then the actual item that it's attached to would still just have already been received for information before you wanted to discuss the thing that you wanted to discuss.
Okay, so
It would already be gone.
So to simplify that. Yeah. We're looking at a motion arising to discuss attachment 077, I believe, attachment 08, correct? Would be the simplest way to do this while keeping all the information intact? Yes? No. I'm thinking that we can pull the attachment almost as like a piece of correspondence. You know, it's part of the whole block, but we don't want to discuss the whole
Okay,
block.
if we pull the whole
Sure,
thing,
if-
we'll just talk about the one.
We just want to talk about the one thing, correct?
Yes, if you just want to talk about one part of a report, it's still probably to pull the entire report and then just talk about that part of it that you want to
Okay,
discuss, because that keeps everything together.
So to confirm, we can have a motion arising to discuss that piece of the report, correct?
Absolutely.
And would that satisfy you?
Yeah, fantastic, thank you.
Perfect, okay. And that'll come, I believe, at the end of the meeting. Thank you. So let's not forget. I'll try and remember too, but I'm just saying, don't really, I'll be eager to end at that point in time, so just watch me. All right. Okay, anything further to be pulled at this time? Okay, seeing none. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. The rest of the block is passed. And moving on to item 9.1, revenue anticipation borrowing bylaw number 936, 2026. Do we have a staff report? It's second, third reading on something we do every year. Does anyone want to move it?
Yeah, I'll move.
Moved by Councillor Bateman,
Second.
second by Beddoes. Any further comments, questions? Seeing none, I'll call the question. Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Thank you. New business. I don't think we have any new business. Notice of motion. I don't think I forgot. Councillor Haldane. No, I think we just did that. That was that. No, that was that.
Yeah,
Sorry,
fast.
sorry. And then I checked to see any new business. I didn't see any hands or any indications from staff. So I moved on to notice of motion, which is motion arising, which is back to you.
Excellent.
I didn't forget.
Yeah, I mean, some good points came up at the land use development meeting and stuff. So there's just some housekeeping issues and it's great that a lot of that stuff does come to land use and then it's explained and things are talked about, but I don't see where it goes from that point. That's my point of clarification here is just try and find out what we're going to do with the information now that we've got it. And I know that, you know, in years past, sometimes we say, yeah, we receive for information and then it goes
Yep.
into a dungeon somewhere. And
Okay, so we're interested in finding out what the results are,
Yeah,
correct?
correct.
Okay, Mr. Marshall.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, members of the council, what staff were recommending in the report was that we monitor the use of the official community plan, the new official community plan and its implementation over the next year. And that we come back with a report to identify what issues we've identified up to that point. I think at this point in time, we've only had the OCP in place for a couple of months. We haven't identified in practice any problems. We've heard that there could be problems, but we haven't actually had any new applications come in related to the new development permit areas. So we don't really have anything to judge it by in terms of, new applications coming in. So over the next year, and as we mentioned before, the official community plan is it's not carved in stone. It's something that evolves over time. It gets amendments over time as needed. So certainly staff will be open to input from the community and we'll monitor applications and how they're working in terms of the process and implementation and can certainly come back to council if we see any issues arising from the implementation of it.
Thank you. Speaking for myself, I've also been very pleased with responses from our planning staff on specific issues that have been brought forward by various, concerned residents about DPAs and so on and so forth. I found the presentation that was provided by the Building Association representatives to be really excellent in terms of pointing at places where lack of clarity could actually create uncertainty in your average resident who doesn't even need a DPA, but because of the lack of clarity, they could think that they do and so on and so forth. So I think I'm strongly in agreement with Councillor Haldane that where we can actually address unclear, uncertain language that may certainly do the job and not cause problems for the development community, but nonetheless increases the stress on the part of residents that can misunderstand. I understand that it was mentioned that some of the documents that are being produced provide further clarity, and that's excellent. So anything that does that actually addresses some of the concerns that are brought forward, I think I would love to see in that future report. I would like to be certain that this particular document is a part of that future report and is addressed in a robust manner. Do we need some form of motion to that effect, or? For that to happen?
That's up to council. Like I said, staff will be taking in any input we receive over the next year, 4 years until we go through another official community plan review. We're happy to report back to council if you want to set a date on something or have something to work towards, a time frame to work towards. Happy to consider that.
Okay, does staff at this point have a point in time for a review of the OCP and to bring that forward to council? In terms of, how's it going and so on?
We haven't got a date set per se. That's up to council to determine whether they want something like that.
Thoughts?
Yeah, I have some questions before I can share my thoughts.
As long as they're relevant to what Councillor Haldane is before.
Well, they're certainly
and it's-
relevant to 8.4.
No,
entirety
no,
of it.
that's no, something on this.
Okay, so yeah, my question, which follows up on Councillor Haldane, how will you accept and reflect upon the material received from the Builders Association and Mr. Amaro in last week's land use agenda? I know partly the answer, and I can reflect on what Mr. Riley said last week, which is there's an implementation, a monitoring, and a refinement. And that this is part of that opening implementation phase. And the living documents are the online guidelines and information bulletins, and that those will be adjusted over time. So if indeed within the Sooke Builders Association PowerPoint, there are some items, would we see reflection in the
Guidelines.
in the guidelines? Yes.
Yeah, that would actually be my hope as well, just that we would know, okay, how does this track? How does the clarity that was requested look like in the guidelines? How have these different points been addressed? Councilor Beddoes.
Yeah, with the questions first.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I think you answered it there, but yeah, we're certainly happy to provide any, and certainly the manager of planning stated this in the Land Use Development Committee meeting, that certainly if there's any further clarification that people would like to see, we're happy to amend the bulletins or add new bulletins to the website to help with clarity. We also have the development permit mapping that's been put in place that identifies which lots are subject to development permit areas to help clarify that situation. So certainly we will make any changes that people feel are necessary or warranted.
Okay. Councillor actually, Councillor Beddoes first.
Yeah, well, I heard what was said. What I'd like to do is make a motion sometime that staff bring back a report in December 2026. That'll be a 1-year anniversary, and give us a report on what's gone well, what's not gone well, and what changes are recommended. Well, whatever, give me a report.
To the new council.
Yeah, to council, yeah.
Perfect. Okay.
Whether I'm here or not.
Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Haldane. Any further comments?
Yeah,
Haldane?
the only comment that I do have that won't take a year, we got different energy interconnection requirement. And we were never, it was brought up during that meeting. We don't have a system in place to hook it up to, and we don't know what it's going to require to get a system. So they've got something in there that's kind of an unknown. So can you, through the chair, could you elaborate on how we're going to make that work or get there in 7.2.5.1?
Okay, so I guess my question there is, do we have guidelines around this, this part of the OCP?
We don't have any bulletins related to the energy efficiency aspect, the carbon aspect to things. The bulletins, the main concerns that we heard were around the environmental development permit area, the steep slopes and the shoreline development permit areas. So that's what we focused our bulletins on. The issue related to energy efficiency was something new that was brought up at the last LUDC.
Okay, so does that mean we can look forward to maybe some guidelines in the future?
Yes, we can certainly provide some clarity around that.
Okay, because I think that that's what the building community is needing at this point, because there's uncertainty on that piece.
Well, it is, and it's not for myself and the smaller people. It's for anything over 4 units.
Yep.
And these guys are going to have to deal with this requirement that's non-existent. We have nowhere to put it, nowhere to get there. So I get that it might be in some provincial legislation, maybe somewhere, or some LGLA material. So we incorporate it into the OCP, but we still need to have a map on how somebody would get there.
Make it work.
Make it work, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Did I see your hand up?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so
One more and then I'll call the question.
Yeah, speaking directly to that particular item from DPA number 1, there were 3 points raised by the Builders Association: life cycle costing, the mandatory 10% on-site energy, and this energy interconnection requirement. All 3 of those were raised by the Builders Association back in October in that remarkable document that needs to be read with a magnifying glass, but it is incredibly substantial back and forth. The life cycle costing has been addressed in the OCP by noting that this is a voluntary best practice. These guidelines are informational and do not form part of the enforceable DP requirements. So that's the life cycle costing, which Mr. Holland raised. The mandatory 10% on-site energy. Interestingly, Mr. Riley said in October, we will consider reframing the language to be consistent with the role of a DPA guideline, which is to encourage applicants to explore opportunities for on-site renewable energy where feasible. And he does acknowledge, yeah, so that's one point that perhaps in an amendment of the OCP, we'd want to make clear that this is not a requirement, but it is in fact best practice. Likewise with the district energy interconnection. As Mr. Riley said, we acknowledge the concern that this guideline may not be practical in Sooke's current context, and that we will consider reframing this as general encouragement to design buildings with adaptability in mind rather than a prescriptive expectation. So again, that's something that perhaps next December, but in the meantime, everyone can just rest easy with the knowledge that I just need clarity. A development permit is like a scorecard. You don't have to bat 1,000 on a DP application. You can say, no, I am not going to provide mandatory 10% on-site energy. And that's not going to stop a DP, is it? Through you to Mr. Marshall.
That's correct. Their guidelines, they, just like the form and character design guidelines, there may be valid reasons why you can't put the building up on the street frontage as to make it more sort of pedestrian friendly. You know, it could be the lay of the land, or there could be other considerations that don't make it possible to meet those guidelines. So these are guidelines, and its staff will take every application as per the activity on the site and what's being proposed and relate the guidelines to that.
Thank you very much. I'm going to call the question. Any opposed? Seeing none, the motion carries. Thank you very much. Okay, I'm not sure, but I suspect. Correspondence. Okay, we have a council verbal reports actually first. So verbal reports. Well, according to, oh, sorry, correspondence. Skipped a page. Okay, so Zero Waste Hub, Councilor Bateman.
Yeah. So I'll move that this is received for information.
Okay. Seconded.
Haldane.
Anything for?
Yeah, well, yes. So in this letter, Sooke's longer-term waste and recycling plans are raised by the Bottle Depot, and they'd like to know more. So my first question, has staff replied to this letter and made any arrangements for the requested meeting? Through you to...
Yes, through the staff.
Through your worship, I don't believe staff have reached out directly to the depot for this correspondence.
Would you be planning to do so? Do you need our direction to do so?
Sure, that would be helpful. I guess, sorry, because this wasn't on my radar for staff. I don't believe any department's actively responding to this. So if this is something council would like us to follow up with them,
Okay.
let me know, please.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
I'll just carry on here for a second. Now, it's an interesting point here. A local government cannot support an individual business. So here is an individual business coming to the district seeking an opportunity to open a conversation that they perhaps would want to take direct involvement in. That is, they've identified the need for better collection of wood waste, drywall, and yard waste in particular. this material is either being taken by residents, mostly by residents on 45-minute drives to the Heartland landfill, or in the happily rare but disturbing cases, they're being dumped in our backwoods, some of this material. I think our comment earlier today about zero waste Sooke, the whole nature of the hierarchy of reimagine, recycle, reuse, is built into our climate action plan and our OCP. We also have the former climate action coordinator came through with a report in 2022. So
Councillor Bateman, I'm looking
I
for-
have no
for a
motion at all here. So if anyone wants to make a motion,
I'm looking for a motion here.
yeah.
Receive the information. I move that we receive the information, or correspondence for information.
That
Okay.
has been moved.
Okay, that has been moved.
Yeah, I would, yeah.
I have a question for staff. At this point in time, this gentleman is looking for an opportunity to discuss the district's plans in regards to waste management, and we should have some somewhere. Would it be possible for the appropriate staff, if assuming we have one, to reach out and provide whatever information we can on our plans in terms of waste management?
For sure, through the chair or to the chair. I can I can reach out myself and let them know. We can provide some new information. Our director of operations will be starting March 30th, so this would fall under his portfolio. So I can kind of potentially set up if they would like to have a meeting, discuss further, set up a meeting potentially for April or something that when
Sounds
he's
good.
back.
And as has previously mentioned, it might be nice to loop in the zero waste folk who have been trying to keep an eye on all the policies and all the stuff that's actually already happening. So they could probably inform the conversation pretty readily.
For sure, and to Councillor Bateman's point, we just have to be sensitive to supporting private businesses.
Correct.
So, but absolutely, we can
But
have a
our practice is to
conversation.
ask questions and have answers, and that's what I'm
100%.
thinking. Okay, perfect.
No
All right.
problem.
So
Yeah, that sounds good. I'll just close off by saying, the Bottle Depot is one of a number of waste management operators: Sooke Disposal, A&P, Pacific Mobile Depot, Sooke Removal and Hauling, and the Bottle Depot. So in your conversation, I think it'll be important to stress that the private operators must be involved as a whole in any discussions on how we could perhaps create a satellite transfer station serving the Heartland landfill.
my sense is that ideally these conferences would identify gaps and allow players to step in, but I'm going
Yeah.
to call the question. Any opposed? Seeing none, the motion carries. Thank you. Request for sponsorship. Councilor Beddoes.
Yeah, I don't actually remember bringing this forward, but I don't mind dealing with it because,
Here's a letter.
yeah, well, I know the pickleball are planning a meet, and I forget how many people, or is a few hundred, anyways, they're looking for a sponsorship, and they're asking for $1,000. This is up and coming in Sooke. They rented the arena. It was well attended the last time, so I think it's, we do a lot of things for youth, but these are generally the older generation, so I'd be willing to make a motion that we offer them $500 as a sponsorship.
I have a question for staff before we move forward that. I know that we had long conversations in terms of how sponsorships and such were happening, and that we had new processes in place. Where does this fall in, and have we started using those processes?
Through your worship, it's slightly outside of the process, but however, it's not a bylaw, it's a policy. So we take direction from council on sponsorship. So this is, I believe, would be above the threshold for staff to approve. I think staff approvals were $250 and less.
I see. Okay.
I believe so. If
Okay, so
Councillor
this is
Beddoes.
above the threshold as such doesn't fall into staff's purview. Perfect. Thank you.
Correct.
That's what I needed. Thank you.
Can you also tell me how much we got left in the sponsorship budget?
No.
Oh.
Apologies, sorry. I don't know off the top of my head. It's 2 months into the year, so
We're probably over.
we should have majority of the budget left. We'll report back further on the 16th.
So I'll make a motion that we supply $500 sponsorship for the pickleball tournament.
Do we have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Bateman. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I'll just note that I think there's $2,500 annually in the sponsorship, so
I should add.
we're a fifth of the way through. Okay.
Councillor Haldane?
Yeah, again, I mean, I have no problem with the pickleballers, their association. It comes down to the same stuff again. I mean, do we sponsor slow pitch? Do we sponsor soccer, baseball? Yeah, we could go on with a litany of different things, mountain bikers and so on. Adults have the ability to pay, children don't have the ability to pay. I'm good with the youth stuff because of their inability to come up with monies or young families struggling and stuff. Pickleballers Association is growing crazy. They're well into 100, 150 people there now, and lots of them aren't even old. They've got lots of 30 and 40-year-olds there now.
Wow.
So if you look at the picture they have on their line there, there's not one old person in there. These are all young people, and they look pretty athletic to me. But they also have money. They work jobs and they do stuff. And we got to be careful of the slippery slope of just donating money to every sports group who wants it. And not that I'm against sports. I love the whole idea. Everybody needs recreation stuff. But we do this stuff because we can afford it. We pay for our own bikes. We pay for our own skis. We pay for our stuff. And 500 is not a lot of money, but they do go after other people. The community association helps them out with funding, stuff like that as well. And I'd like to see us stick to our lane with taking care of people's business. I'm going to follow that rhetoric for a while now because of tough times. If times were crazy like they were pre-COVID there or whatever, I'd be all over it. But times have just been too tough, and I won't vote for it. Not because I don't like pickleballers. I think they're doing a great job, and I've donated money to their association myself personally. But I don't believe the district should be affording that. So thank you.
I'll make one final comment. I agree with Councillor Haldane on this one. I think the pickleballers do have the ability to pay. I think that sticking to the $200 cap on sponsorships and having it handled through staff is appropriate. It also allows the small amount of money that's in the pool to actually extend to, for example, youth groups and other people that are going to need that money, maybe a lot more than the people from pickleball. So I won't support the motion as it stands, but I will call the question. Any opposed? The motion does not carry. Do we have a follow-up or?
Just all I say is remember when other people come here, we keep that rhetoric in.
Yep.
Then that's different because I've seen a lot come here that would not fall into that category. So anyways,
And
if it's defeated, I accept that and we'll move on.
And I would also suggest that potentially amending our policy so that the sponsorship money is funneled more closely to youth groups and to the groups that have less ability to pay might make sense. I don't know if like using an equity lens on where the sponsorship money goes would make sense, but that's something for the future as well, I would think. Okay, if the group comes forward and asks for sponsorship through usual channels through staff, are they still able to access the $200, I believe, or maximum?
It's $250 is the authority staff has to grant, and I would presume if council just didn't support it, I don't imagine staff would go over council's head and provide a lesser amount at this time.
All right. Then that's that. Return to work mandate, Councillor Bateman.
Yeah, in this new era of austerity, yeah, I find this is an awesome letter that the mayor wrote to the Prime Minister. And I wanted to pull it out of correspondence so that all of us can read it and you out in the public can read it. It regards the return to work mandate, which takes federal employees up to 4 days per week. And that's totally fine in Ottawa and Toronto and Vancouver, Victoria, the major centers. But out here in Sooke, it's going to have, as she states, unintended impacts that affect affordability, workforce sustainability, transportation, community well-being, hybrid work. Anyway, please read this letter. It's a very strong statement that we're not all to be treated the same. Here in Sooke, we need the flexibility for a whole bunch of good reasons. So thank you to Mayor Tate for writing that. And it's been CC'd to Stephanie McLean. So we'll see.
And this has already been sent, I assume?
Yes. So I'll move that it's received for correspondence.
Okay. Second
For
by Councillor
information.
Haldane. Any opposed? Seeing none, the motion carries. Okay, potential park for District of Sooke. Debbie Fitzgerald, Councillor Meadows.
Yeah, I think we've all seen this. It came over our email, and it's a nice little chunk of land. It's agricultural land. I think it's 4 acres or thereabouts. And sometimes we have to look now for boldly into the future because if it's snapped up, it's gone. Somebody will build a house on it, be a very nice house, but they can't subdivide it because of agriculture. I would like to think that it's something that we should entertain. And with that, I would ask staff to tell me how much is in the Parks Acquisition Fund. I'm asking a lot of questions this time, yeah. Yeah.
Just give me a couple minutes if you don't
Oh, yeah,
mind. I'll
sure.
pull it up.
Anyways, I'll let I think other counselors have seen it. It's just, to me, I looked in the past and when we bought Lot A, you know, it was a lot of money back then, but it's was a good addition that I thought to Sooke. And we could use another half decent park in that area of town is only going to grow with the new mall that's going in there eventually. If we ever see it. Anyways, it's zoned for it. I just think it'd be a great acquisition. So I'm in favor of us looking at it.
Councillor Holding?
Yeah, so the Local Government Act has the ability to charge cash in lieu or park dedication with rezoning. And cash in lieu would go into a fund. If the development down in those areas is not giving up park dedication, they're giving cash in lieu from somewhere. So for us to be able to buy these parks, be fantastic, but again, austerity, but we need to use the monies that we're getting from park dedication, cash and lieu programs. I mean, there's lots of small parks that we end up with that really do not add up to a 4-acre park in the middle, which should be huge. You can put a baseball diamond in there and something like that would be fantastic. But the whole idea here is that we have to manage for it, and we have to provide the funding for it ahead of time with all these other little developments and stuff that are going on. And to give you an example, Aridan is building their next phase right now. They're giving 30 acres for park dedication rather than giving cash or whatever, but they're over and above what they're expected to in the LGLA. But the whole idea is they're giving that because they see it as a benefit to the community. That's what they want to do. And they want their people that are going to build within their own subdivision have these parks and trails in this great area. Sooke has a lot of parks. We got 80 parks right now, roughly. We got 40 kilometers of a bike trail within the district of Sooke. We got 4,000 hectares of C2C up Harbor View for biking, yada, yada, all that. I'm all for buying these parks, but I think we have to manage it through our park budget, through the monies. I mean, to come up with it as money out, that means everybody in Sooke pays for that park down that area. Not that I don't think we couldn't use a 4-acre park down there. I think we have to afford it through better business practices. We have to plan for it. We have to save our money up from what we've been doing with there's lots of building going on in Sooke. Surely we must be putting together a fund for buying property for parks and stuff like that. I'd rather do it that way. It makes it look like we're good stewards of the community and the funding and the money and stuff like that. But I'm not against parks in Sooke at all, but $800,000 at this time is still going to be a tough one, plus closing costs and legals and so on. But
Thank you. And as far as I know, we don't actually have, yes?
Thank you, Chair. I just have the answer to Councillor Haldane or Councillor
Could you
Beto's
remind us what the
question.
question was at this point?
Pardon me?
What was the question?
How much is in the Parkland
How
Reserve
much in
Fund?
parks? Thank you.
And so to Councillor Haldane's point, that is the refund where any cash in lieu, parks cash in lieu payments are deposited to that fund. It's called the Parkland Reserve. As of December 31st, 2024, because that was our last audited statements, there was $314,000 in that fund. I'm not quite sure how much might have been added during the 2025 year end to be determined, but nothing, definitely not, no. So to Councillor Haldane's point, there's $300,000 available in there currently, and additional funding sources would have to be identified if council would like us to pursue this further.
Yes, Councillor Haldane?
so there's also a borrowing option too. So we could do a plan. I mean, again, there would be an expectation that bigger development would end up paying for this stuff over the long haul. And people have to understand you got to give up to get and so on. But for that fund to go up. The other option is selling parkland, extra parkland. We've got little nodal lots all over Sooke here. They're not necessarily used by that neighborhood. So you go to the people, if they want to sell half a dozen little parks at $100,000 or $200,000 a pop, then we have enough money to buy the bigger parks. 4 acres is a lot nicer than a couple of small building lots in your community. And I think people would, you bike there, you walk there, you do whatever. So I'm definitely for that type of getting the money together. And we could borrow for it now, pending selling some of the small neighborhood parks off to be able to buy one big neighborhood park like that, if that's an option.
Thank
So,
you. Mr. Lewis.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to interject to confirm which item is currently under discussion, as items 12.4 and 12.5 both relate to park space in Sooke.
I think the answer is yes. It's the same thing.
Okay, so
It's the same piece of correspondence.
Well, no, there were 2 different distinct pieces of correspondence. The 12.4 was the letter simply calling for more parks in Sooke. 12.5 was about a specific listing, which is currently for sale. So if you want to consider those as a single item, then I suppose you could do so, but they were put on the agenda separately. The first letter was pulled by Councillor Beddoes, the second by Councillor Bateman. And since you've been discussing the specifics, I just wanted to be clear that 12.4, which is earlier on the agenda, is simply about the concept of more park space, while 12.5 is a specific parcel at a specific location.
Very good. Thank you. I think that they both meant to pull the same piece.
Yeah.
As it happens.
That's the one I wanted to discuss.
So I think we are discussing, strangely enough, 12.5, which means we should probably close the loop on 12.4. Receive for information. Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Moving on to 12.5.
Okay, yeah. Could I ask for a little clarification then, because it's interesting. Councillor Haldane mentioned about borrowing. Now, we can borrow certain amounts of money without going to referendum, correct?
Correct.
So if we decided that, I guess my concern here is, and I understand what Councillor Haldane is saying, and I don't disagree with him, but this opportunity is here and now. And that's the part that bothers me. We could make some, do some stuff in the future and amass some money, but this parcel will go away. And this to me was the ideal parcel in the ideal part of town, which I think is important. So I would be willing to, and I don't disagree with Haldane, Councillor Haldane saying sell off some of these little parcels that, they're just bush right now, and a lot of them. I know that we can't do it, I think, in the past, because we've approached this before. And I believe that we can't sell those parcels. Is that right?
If I can, I believe that divesting parkland or doing things with parkland requires a referendum.
Correct.
Correct. Okay, I'd like to try and come up with a motion that might satisfy. As it happens, because we're looking at possible land acquisitions, I think this is meant to be discussed in camera, no? Hold on, let me get an answer to that.
Yes.
Still need an answer to that. What's that?
Correct. If you're dealing, I think the request or the motion could be if you would like staff to report back on more details specific to this specific lot. Just a motion to direct staff to bring that report forward, and then we can determine if that warrants an in-camera conversation or a public conversation.
Okay.
I'd like to do that.
And Councillor Bateman.
Yeah, so, yeah, I did pull that particular item, and I wanted to thank Ms. Petrie for, Petrie, did I get that right?
I believe so.
Yes. For that wonderful motivation for doing so. It is a land item, so it must be discussed in camera, so we shouldn't really discuss it any longer, because the price tag could be rising as we speak. But, and I do believe the strat plan does talk about a land acquisition approach, and I believe you were going to bring back something to us at some point in the nearish future. And that's what this motion is part of.
Okay, so to the staff comments on that?
Yeah, through the chair to Councillor Bateman, staff were anticipating later this year bringing back a report, bringing a report to council discussing land acquisition generally, because over the years and currently there's numerous requests we get to purchase certain plots and certain properties. So again, the conversation came up too about, if we were going to divest any of the parkland, which land would be the most appropriate? What does that process look like? So a fulsome report was going to be brought forward to council later this year. Not sure the exact timing yet. However, if you would like a specific report earlier just about this specific land acquisition, that would need a motion because we need to reprioritize and bring that report sooner than the more fulsome report, which we would need more time.
Okay, so I think we're looking for a motion that we discussed this particular correspondence at an upcoming in camera.
And you will have a report.
And a potentially high-level report on land acquisition strategies. I don't think we need the robust, fulsome year, one in the future, but maybe some rough ideas of what our options might be. Yes, does that sound fair? Yes? Okay, do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Bateman. And any further discussion? Councillor Haldane, you had your hand up?
So that'll go in camera then?
Yes.
Will that be tonight or?
No,
Okay.
no way. I don't think staff is ready for this one. All right. Any further discussion or comments? Seeing none. Any opposed? Seeing none, the motion carries. Thank you very much. Okay. Okay, I think now we're on to items removed from the consent agenda. I think we've already dealt with that one. I did it out of order as a motion arising. Okay, so now we're doing council verbal reports. No?
Yeah, I could start off if you wish.
Please.
So Chair, I was at the 10K race yesterday, I guess. I had to get there early because I was flipping pancakes, but I was asked to speak on behalf of the district. I did call myself deputy mayor by mistake, but I did give a shout out for our rescue people. I said that don't worry about getting lost, that we have a first-rate rescue group. If we don't find you in a day or two, we will find you eventually. They thought that was very good. It was great. There was about 500-600 people standing in their shorts and t-shirts ready to go, so I didn't prolong it for them. Also, Sea Park, we had our meeting with, only had one of our new people there, and Councillor Bateman was there for the mayor. I guess the highlight of that is the skate park. We're going to do a dedication, should be ready by June. We're hoping to be ready sooner, but the monsoon rains that hit us early in the year turned that area into a pond. So we are a bit behind, but my understanding is we're still on budget and it's looking good. We've got some good drone pictures of what it's turning out to be. So that was really good. I went to the coldest night. They didn't ask anybody to speak there, so I just stood there in the coldest night. And but I was there, and I think Councillor Bateman was there too. That's my report. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Beddoes. Councillor Haldane, Councillor.
I have nothing. Thank you.
Councillor Bateman.
Yeah, thank you. I was at the coldest night of the year, just at the outside. I didn't do the walk because I had to get, nor you, but that's okay. We cheered everyone on. And in fact, what happened there? Yeah, another 18,000 was raised for the Sooke Shelter Society, thanks to 97 walkers on 12 teams, 26 volunteers on site. It's quite a tradition now. They've raised they're approaching 150,000 raised through these walks by community effort. You know, no grants from the district. They just make it happen. So hats off to Melanie Cunningham and her group. I attended with the mayor the call to action event hosted by the Village Initiative in Langford a couple of weeks ago. About 100 people were there, including the mayors of the West Shore municipalities. A number of keynote speakers spoke to us, and the message was, quote, when will what we know change what we do in service to kids? So the biggest shift in this is my lead up for pitching for the Village Initiative and the $15,000, which hopefully we can get into our budget to support their coordinator position, which would be equally shared by all the West Shore municipalities. Anyway, I'll save it for that time. We also met, I met with the Victoria Family Court and Youth Justice Committee. Our speakers were from the Foundry. So Kathy Easton was there. We know her from appearances in chambers. Also present was Kaylee David. Now she's a fourth-year University of Victoria student who happens to be from Sooke. And she's been interning with the Foundry and provided a peer perspective on how Foundry guides, supports, befriends young people who are in desperate need of help and guidance. So again, these, unlike the pickleball ask, this is money that goes directly into the heart of the community. And if we're a caring community, we step up and and I know they're provincially mandated responsibilities, and yet it's not coming down from on high. So we have to bring it up from the grassroots. Okay.
I would suggest that Councillor Haldane's focus on youth and some sort of policy direction for council as a whole on youth would be appropriate, but that's for the future as well. Okay. I think the only thing I'll report on is that we had an excellent land use committee meeting last Tuesday where we covered a lot of ground and had very good input from the community, as has previously been mentioned, and has led to an amazing meeting where we might get done by 7:30. So that's pretty cool. All right, just saying. All right. That's about it for that. So now I will report out on 15.1. And that's with regards to the Sooke River Park License of Occupation request from the Sooke Horseshoe Pitching Association. On February 23rd, 2026, Council made the following resolutions. That Council authorized the License of Occupation Agreement in Attachment 4 with the Sooke Horseshoe Pitching Association, and that Council authorizes the CAO and corporate officer to execute the License of Occupation Agreement in Attachment 4. So that's just letting everybody know what happened in camera. And now I'm looking for a motion to adjourn. Bateman and Haldane, any opposed? Seeing none, the crowd goes wild. Woo!
My leg were to be got. Yeah. Get him out, get him out.